Welcome back to another episode of the Unfiltered Podcast. Guys, this place looks a little different than my office at where we typically do the podcast. Right now, we're in New York City. We're at the Installer Show. I'm here with my buddy Ryan from New York. He's a younger cat. He's in the field, and I just wanted to sit him down and kind of ask him some questions about, getting in the field, how he got in the field, and how his journey has been so far. Ryan, my question to you is, how did you get in the field, and what kind of challenges have you seen so far?
All right, Dominic, thanks for having me on. So how did I get into the field? So basically, where I live with my family at home, we have a guy who has come to fill up the Freon every year, and I basically just started riding along with him one summer for a few weeks in a row, and I loved it. And then I dove straight into a trade school in Jersey called Eastwood College, and that's kind of how I started. And then I started working part-time right away. And then when I graduated, right into full-time.
Awesome. So from my experience, I was 17. Yeah. I got out of trade school in high school, and I asked my VOTEC teacher, I was like, hey, do you know anybody who's, looking for help? Somebody who's entry level, very green, obviously. And he's like, yeah, actually, one of my older students, at the time, his name's Ryan. Actually, that's funny. And he gave me my first shot. Ryan was 26 years old. I was 17. And I was waking up at 5 o'clock every morning, getting to work, cleaning the truck, loading it up. This is something I found passion in and love. I did a lot of studying and book work in my early stages. Have you ever went to a trade school or tried to do any extra learning when it comes to the trades?
Yeah, so actually I was in a trade school. I joined right after I finished high school. It was a one-year program in Jersey, Eastwood College in Nutley, New Jersey. So I was in trade school for 1 year. I did learn a good amount. My teacher would also take me on some of his jobs. He mostly did refrigeration, so I started with some refrigeration work, walk-in coolers, stuff like that. And then he introduced me to AHR, and He took me down to AHR. That was while I was in trade school.
How old were you at the time?
I was 18.
18 years old?
18.
And you went to AHR.
Yeah.
Where was it hosted?
Chicago.
Chicago,
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then next year...
Does he like going to events like this? Your mentor at the time?
Yeah, he was more of a, book type of guy. He was more of...
He's big into that kind of
all the meetings and stuff like that, yeah.
That's cool.
So he was in all those different type of meetings while I met all these different influencers in person.
What kind of influencers were you meeting at the time?
All the big guys, Jeff, Flynn.
They're all from Jersey.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Name the rest of them, it doesn't even matter.
All those big guys. I had a page at the time, but then I didn't know the community was that large.
Yeah.
Then I started posting more and more after that.
So that brings you to the point you stand in right now. So Ryan, you're 20 years old, correct?
Yep.
You own your own business. What made you want to open your business at such a young age?
So I've always been, I always had the entrepreneurship drive. In middle school and high school, I was in a business program where I learned a lot of businesses. We would make mock business plans and stuff like that and go to different...
That's fun stuff. I've done that
We've been
before.
to the Javits Center. We present our business to the judges, stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So that's where I got the mindset from. And my first business I started was when I was 10. Did a lot of e-commerce, reselling sneakers, clothing, anything I could really get my hands on. And that's how I started with my business mindset. And then I noticed when I got into HVAC, I was one of the top sales guys at the company I worked at. It was a pretty small company, so I didn't have much competition, but I was selling the most there.
How long were you there for?
2 years.
You were there for 2 years?
Yeah.
How much were you selling in those 2 years, do you think?
So
Gross.
I believe it was like 300,000.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, 200 to 300,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I really noticed a big opportunity, and right away, once I felt more comfortable in the field, I started doing side jobs right away.
Okay.
So I didn't just go off on my own one day. I've been building it up, doing jobs on the side, and then one day it just got to the point where the phone kept ringing and I was missing out on jobs while I was at work. And I didn't have someone to just go and send to do the jobs for me because everyone I know, they work for a company.
Absolutely.
So they're only free on the weekends.
Right.
So I was just like, no, I got to make this move. So I've been officially on my own now for like a few months now.
So, being that you are younger and you are a business owner, you feel like it's a lot to take on all at once?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a lot to take on. There are those callbacks which are annoying that you have to deal with sometimes, and just silly questions back and forth with your customers at random hours at night. You're always dealing with something, the phone's always ringing, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it is a lot to take on your plate, and you got to be ready for it. If it's not you, then who's going to do it? It's your business. You have no one to fall back on.
That is absolutely true, and we find ourselves feeling that way all the times. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old, HVAC. Somehow, some way, I fell out of love with the trade, believe it or not, and I found myself doing carpentry for like a couple months, and I said, why the hell did I just spend the past 9 years of my life learning and dedicating my time to HVAC? Now I'm trying to do carpentry. Dropped the saw. I went to HVAC again. I applied to 3 different companies. I personally have a different take on the whole field, right? I show up to all my interviews in a suit, right? As a tradesman. I show up in a suit.
That's the first time hearing that.
Yeah, so I showed up in a suit. As I'm walking in my suit for my big interview, this bald guy opens the door for me. He's like, how you doing? I'm Sal, and shakes my hand. And I find out, because I got the job, I get in the interview, I'm sitting there, it's a real pressing moment. He's asking me questions, I'm looking good. He's like, I've never had a guy show up in a suit for an interview. I'm like, sir, I take this very seriously. This is my career. And right in that moment, he's like, when can you start? I stayed with that company for 2 years, fell back in love with the field, grew a great passion for what we do for a living. The culture at that company was amazing. It inspired me to build the culture I'm building here today with my company. What kind of culture are you looking to build at your company?
So I'm looking to build a very small, family-oriented culture where we meet up with each other. We have a meeting at least like once a week. We do things together. It's not like you guys go home and forget each other. We're gonna actually go out as a team, do fun activities. It's not always about work. There has to be a balance.
Ryan, I want to thank you for your time. I don't want to hold you much longer. I'm trying to get young people in the trades. If you have willpower and you like working hard, I don't care if you know nothing. You're more than welcome to come join me at the Elite Service Group and learn something. Guys, check us out on YouTube. If you like what you're seeing, like, comment, subscribe. Ryan, you want to shout out your pages?
Guys, check me out, Trades Over College on all platforms. Dominic, thank you so much for taking your time and doing this.
Ryan, thank you.
Thank you.
Catch you on the next one. Peace.